And that's to anyone watching online. Service had a really wonderful postlude with Daniel and Kyla doing Phantom of the Opera, and we've got lots going on down on the lawn. So we're going to give a few more minutes for folks to get down here. If you're watching us online, and I know some of you have already done this, you can go ahead. There is a link to a Zoom meeting room. We're going to be having some conversations today in smaller groups. Thomas Diaz is going to be here in just a few minutes to share with us about that. And you're going to be able to participate in that in breakout rooms in a Zoom meeting. And so you can go ahead and just join that right now. It'll be in a separate window. And so you can just watch, you can still watch what's happening here and then be in that room so that when we go to breakout rooms, you can be assigned to that right away and have your own talking circle. Good to see everybody here. And we'll get going probably in about 5 or 6 minutes. One thing, gotta wait for Thomas to get here. Hey, Sandy. Hey, how are you? Doing okay. COVID okay, as I've learned to say. Yeah. Today is fun. I got to tell you, so much of this is Kelly, Aaron, and Nina putting this together. They're amazing. I had so many great ideas. That's right, yes. Well, this is good for me because where we live, I've been in that house. This will be my 5th Halloween, and so far, not one trick-or-treater has ever come to our house. So, it's just not a good neighborhood for it. You go 2 blocks south, and it is a madhouse. All the houses decorate up well, and we're fine. We're just waiting for a couple more people.
I had those off.
The mics, no, this works great. I turned it on.
They're all focused.
Yeah, everything's great. You're all set.
2, 3, 4.
That is so true, and it's like in the neighborhood we used to live in St. Louis, where we got tons, I mean, they would block off the street because so many kids would come to this neighborhood to trick or treat. But you know, all the houses had like front porches, and we'd sit on our front porch, and I knew all of my neighbors. I don't know my neighbors. I mean, the ones I know I've happened to sort of like reach out and do things with. But I mean, you know the neighborhood the rectory is in. We're one of the few ones that you can actually walk to the front door without walking through a gate. It's just, it's not great. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you get a sense that people are on their way down here, or pretty much people staying upstairs? Which one? Okay, so this is probably maybe what we have?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll just do one circle here and one online. So I don't even have to deal with breakout groups. So I think we're going to get started. Does anyone have an issue getting down the stairs to sit here? Because we're going to be having conversations, and it's probably easier if everyone in the room is just like right here in front. And then if you're online, we'll have some instructions for you too, and you're going to be able to participate. That's right. Here, and let me see what I can do to... There we go. Yep. So come on, if folks can come on down, and we may... Here's some more folks. Okay, we may do two. Yeah, getting their candy and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and start. So welcome to everyone who is online. Welcome to everybody who is here. There's a lot going on campus, and people are still coming back to campus. So I want to talk a little about what we're going to do this morning, because it's not a typical forum where we would have speakers up here and you're primarily, listening, and then maybe a chance for sort of some Q&A at the end. This really is a chance for us to have conversations. And we have ways to do that here in the room, and we have ways to do that online. This month, we have been taking a look at public health. Earlier this year, we got together a group of people, and we decided that this was a really good opportunity to reimagine the forum. And in fact, we're not calling it the Rector's Forum anymore. We're just calling it the Forum, because it's not about me. It's a community forum. And some of the things that we noticed were, first, that whenever we would have these amazing guests, and we'd have 45 minutes with them, which just wasn't that much time, and we always felt rushed with them, and it felt like, why can't we have a little more time with people? And so that's when we decided, okay, we're going to try on moving the 11:15 service to 11:30, giving us that full hour, which we had during the pandemic, because we could start the forum, at 10, because there was nothing before it on our Zoom feed. And we got really used to, and it felt really good to have that full hour. The second thing was that the forums pretty much all seemed to be kind of one-offs. And they were really good, but there was nothing generally that sort of built on them. And there was really no way for us to have community conversation. You'd have someone amazing in here, say Father Greg Boyle comes in here and has a great conversation, and maybe you get to ask him a question and watch something. But then there's no way to kind of structured way to take that home. And so you might have noticed the last several weeks there have been questions. And we've encouraged people here, take these questions, and you can either, if you're not going to the 11:30 service, you can gather in a small group of people and discuss these and let the conversation continue. You can take them home, discuss them in your families or who you live with or friends, or you can just use them for your own contemplation or journaling or whatever, with the idea that we really wanted to have the forum have a chance to sort of lead to something else, at least to some further conversation. And then a third thing we decided to try on is probably not every month, but some months to say, okay, this month we're going to take one issue, and we're going to look at it 3 or 4 different ways. And then the final one is we're going to have a chance to talk about it. And we decided to try that out using the whole idea of public health. And the idea for that was to say, well, let's actually break that down into its component parts. And so the first Sunday of this month, actually, I think it was the first Sunday of this month, or maybe it was the second, we had Peter Mancall from the Department of Anthropology and History at USC talking about that word public. And he went back and looked at the City on the Hill speech and what that was about, and some of the earliest colonizers' relationships with the natives. When you talked about the common good, who got to be included in that and who wasn't included in that, and really introduced that tension between working for the common good and personal gain. And then the second week, we looked at health, and we had Dr. Linda James Myers join us from Columbus, Ohio, talking about health as not just the absence of sickness. As she said, we have a healthcare system that really is a sick care system in this society. And instead, looking at really what are the foundations of health for human society, and really asking questions of when there are fundamental pieces of American society that are built in unhealth, can we really become a healthy society without looking at some of the toxicity, particularly in terms of race and class and economics in our society? And then last week we put it together and we said, okay, let's look at public health. And we had Dr. Ying Go, who's the director of public health here in Pasadena. We had Sherry Bonner, who is the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood of Pasadena and San Gabriel Valley, really talking about, okay, so what is public health? What are we learning? What has the pandemic taught us, is teaching us about this? And now it's our turn. And we're going to be using something called talking circles. And if you are, I see everyone's jumped off the Zoom now, so maybe we won't do this on Zoom. But if you're watching online, there is a link on the live stream page that if you click on it, you can join a Zoom meeting, and you'll be put into a breakout room, so you get to participate in this too. But we're going to have a chance just to have some conversations in smaller groups, and Thomas is here, or excuse me, Miguel is here to tell us about that. And then we're going to come back together at the end and really just kind of want to hear from you about sort of the forum in general and what did you think about trying this new thing on. And then in November, we've got some more sort of one-off forums coming up, and I'll tell you about those. But we're trying this on, and we want to see how it goes with everyone. So I'm going to hand this over to Miguel, and you can tell us about talking circles.
All right. Well, I first want to start off by saying it's really been a joy to work with Mike and a few others in this kind of revisioning of what was the Rector's Forum, turning into the Forum. And, it really is meant to bring the community together to be in discussion with one another. And so we, as Mike alluded to, we had the presentations, you had the information that we were able to present, and now it's time to talk to one another and really ask questions. What were you hearing during those presentations? What resonated for you? So how we're going to do talking circles this is great. Actually, I'm glad we have maybe a smaller crowd because now we can work on smaller groups. So I'm going to ask, once I give instructions, to kind of gather maybe between 3 and 4 in your small group. You can utilize the space in here. You're more than welcome to go outside, though it's probably going to be a little loud out there. But find a space that your group would like to just feel comfortable, and we'll give you some prompts. And so here are the prompts that we're going to give onto you. Perfect. And we have them printed out. Perfect. So we'll give each group. There are 3. Don't feel any form of rushed to do it. If you only get to the first one, then you have accomplished that first prompt. So the first one is, where do you see the tension between working for the common good and the personal gain in your life and the life of All Saints Church? Okay. The second one is, what elements of life in America, Los Angeles, and All Saints Church promote health, and which elements are barriers to health? And the last one, as we emerge from the pandemic, what can we do to become a healthier All Saints Church? What can we do to become healthier as individuals and families? And how can we support each other in this work? So these are really 3 good prompts. So I'm going to say this. If you want to only focus on one, you can do so. The point of these talking circles, there's really no formal structure. We're not going to appoint a facilitator. There is no leader of your group. You're just going to sit together, and someone can start off, and then you can either popcorn each other or just hold that space. But here's how we're also going to try on something in these talking circles. Whoever goes first, and they are responding and reflecting with you. Each person, once you are done speaking, you're going to tell the people in your group, and I have spoken. That's the indication that you're done. And the next person who wants to go next can then pick up. So, I have spoken. That's going to be your final kind of sentence.
So I can't interrupt you when you're talking. Yeah,
that's right.
Because you haven't said and I have spoken. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Point taken. Yes, exactly how it is. So that's the talking circles, and we're going to try this on. And I'm excited because we're going to try it this Sunday, and then we'll try it on probably sometime in December. And hopefully we can build more folks to come into these circles. So that.
And if you're, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I have spoken.
You've spoken?
I have
Okay, great.
spoken.
Wanted to make sure. And so if you're online, if you're watching us on Facebook, jump on over to our live stream page. Just go to allsaints-pas.org, allsaints-pas.org, and click on live stream in the upper left-hand corner. And once you're there, you'll scroll down, and underneath the little commercial, little description of the forum, there's a Zoom link. And if you click on that, you're going to show up right here on my computer. I'll let you into the Zoom room, and you can be in your own talking circle online, so you get to participate too. I think that's it. We're going to come back to a large group at 11. So if you're staying here in this room, no worries at all, we'll tell you. But if you decide to wander off somewhere else, then you can come back here around 11. So I would say go ahead and, what did you say, groups of 4 or 5?
3 and 4. We'll do
3 and 4? Why don't you
4.
self-select into some groups, and then I'll go around and make sure everyone has the prompts.
Awesome.
Oh, here. Yeah, we actually have others. Oh, we actually thought we had more groups. About 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 2 minutes. Oh, it's a wrestler. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it is. Oh, that's great. Okay, it's 11. And so if you're talking, if you could finish your thought. If you're talking, if you could finish your thought. And want to do a couple things. We've got about 10 or 12 minutes here. And hello to everyone online. And first of all, thank you. I hope this was, actually, part of what I want to talk about is what this experience is like. What I'm wondering is, and I'll sort of do the mic for folks who are down here, and then I put a mic in your group and a mic in your group, and I guess I'm the mic for this group, which is there anything that came out in your talking circle that particularly was like, oh, that's something I really feel like I want to share? And it can be, the idea of prompts is that they're starting places, and you can go wherever. So it doesn't matter if like the wisdom actually relates to one of the questions at all. That's okay. We expect that to happen. But would love just, what came up that is sort of, that you think, gee, that might stick with me when I leave this place? Anybody? Yeah. And say your name.
I'm Sarah McGaw. Sandy, thank you. had a thought that I concur with, in that her thought was, we discussed all the various theories about COVID and how we would know what we should do ourselves. And she had an idea that along with the ministries here, All Saints might be able to have some discussions about what is real about COVID and healthcare by people, at least I thought the people involved would need to be trusted individuals of some sort, health people or in order that we here at All Saints could provide a basis for how we should carry on during this pandemic and the next one and the next one, because this is the way of our existence now. I think. And that's sort of a scary thought, but it's true. And we may not, those of us who are old may not have another pandemic in our life, but they're going to happen. This one just went boom, you know, and the next one's going to go boom. And the bug will be different, and we will need to learn different techniques of handling it. And we lost trust in the government and the government agencies because they had to keep changing their story because they hadn't learned about the bug yet. And I'm done now.
No, that's fine. You have spoken. So, yeah, John.
Just to follow up on that, it occurred to me when we were talking about that All Saints has whoever you are and wherever you are on your journey of faith, you're welcome here. The group could be called whoever you are and wherever you are on your journey to health, you're welcome here. Just so the people who come in with the different views also feel welcome to bring their views in and get them discussed.
Thank you. Janet Carroll.
One thing that came out of our group is that we really liked this idea of the theme and then having a chance to talk in small groups. It was just, and I think that also kind of speaks to the one of the prompts about as we emerge from this pandemic, like this idea of really focusing and talking to each other was just, I think, really resonated with us.
Get your mic. The mic is right there for that. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Steve Williams. One of the things that came up, we talked about self-care. But one of the things that came out of it was that most of us really were confronted about asking the question what self-care was at the beginning, once we realized we were in this thing, right? But didn't have the skills to deal with it. And when we talk about health, one of the things that Alita said was, which was really true, which was it has to start from the individual before you can help the community, right? And so how can the church tap into helping people develop those skills of self-care? You know, the church has so much in terms of lay. There's healers here that I didn't even really know about that have come out, but as an individual, it would be just like a Bible study, but it's a self-care. There's so many teachers here that would allow, you know, the centering prayer, the meditation, these are elements of self-care. But how can we really make sure that the level of understanding for the individual gets raised?
That's great. Thank you. Who else?
Just following up on that, we also talked about how, as a community, health is inclusion, and that we, especially during the pandemic, but even before, I think we rely on a lot of people who get burned out, and that it would be really a great thing to have a way to maybe just gather a list, a pool of people's perceived talents so that they could have, and maybe it would start with sign-up sheets, but I think in terms of creativity and involving people in new ways, that it would be great to have some kind of pool or something where people could be asked to do something specific, because I think there are a lot of people who don't participate in any way, and we know statistically they're the people that will fall away.
Yeah. There's this thing called the 80-20 rule, and it's that 20% of the people do 80% of the work. And I think it ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy. So back here and
Hi.
then to Susan.
Karen Swanson, we talked about what a great job All Saints has done in the face of the pandemic and just being able to pivot and move everything online, stop having services to protect us. And I remember I'm a new member, and I was visiting one Sunday before the pandemic, and that was the Sunday where you guys decided it wasn't safe to pass the peace. So you taught us how to pass the peace using sign language. And then the pandemic happened, and I was still able to be a new member. I joined the Getting Connected class online, and thank goodness, because I was isolated and alone, but I felt connected through that small group. And it's been very difficult for people who live alone, the sense of isolation. And all through this, All Saints has given us that sense of connection. And now bringing us back, you're still doing it very safely. You've got protocols. We're wearing our masks. And eventually we'll be able to take the masks off. And you guys are just really looking out for us, so we're really thankful for that.
Well, and thank you, and I need to sort of spread that to the vestry and the leadership, and we had the Wardens Planning Task Force, have been amazing, and the staff, and I'm like looking at Keith Holman over there, behind the camera, and Keith, you have done such an amazing job in really leading that sort of moving online piece for us, and right away, and I've told this story about Keith a lot of times, is the very first Sunday, we were actually still live streaming in the church, Keith kind of gathered us and said, this is a different medium. You're coming into people's dining rooms and living rooms. And like in terms of preaching, he said, think of it not as a sermon, but as a fireside chat. And like Keith, you immediately understood that we couldn't just take what we were doing and put it online. We had to recognize that we were entering people's lives in a fundamentally different way. And so I'm just so grateful that you saw that right away. And I think it really is a lot. Can we give Keith a hand? Yeah, absolutely. So, Susan.
I'm Susan. I want to congratulate All Saints for welcoming the community here through a vaccine clinic. Through the vaccine clinic, and also through blood drives, and offering our spaces for Romans to come. I think that's a wonderful way to welcome. I hope we can do more of that.
We're going to continue to do that, and that's maybe sort of a good segue to sort of how things are coming differently. So let me actually just give you a chance to say something, Sandy, and then I'll jump to the segue.
I think looking at the church population and recognizing that it is aging in many ways, and as much as we're trying to attract younger people as well, that I come from a very organic as well as psychotherapeutic clinical orientation, and it might not hurt within these community seminars to expand on this idea of self-care and to have some respected clinical people who the church has vetted and who can be relied upon to come in and talk about self-diagnosis, referral to clinics, how to recognize the signs of stroke, heart disease, loneliness, mental illness, suicidality, breakdowns of relationships within the family and at work. And even for me, I'm 66 years old and relatively educated. I've come off a 2.5-year bitter divorce, and I'm back in the dating environment. And I cannot find reliable sources that tell me what physical and medical precautions to take in order to screen and protect myself in dating other people at this age. And I think that kind of practical organic medicine, as well as Sally's techniques in psychotherapy, could do us a lot of good. And tie it back to religion the way that Einstein tied it back to religion. Einstein and the physicists and a lot of the molecular biologists have looked at the order of the universe and said there has to be intelligent design here. Even this virus must be sent by God for some reason, if nothing else to train us how to deal with future viruses that come down the line.
Thank you. So I'm hearing, and I wanted to sort of say, I'm hearing that at least those, maybe this is sort of the bias of those who showed up today, appreciate sort of this kind of gathering and the way we're doing things. And part of what we're trying to do, again, we're using this as an opportunity to say, we got out of the habit of sort of what we've been doing for decades here at All Saints Church. And as we come back, it's a way to try on different things and to say, can we, new occasions teach new duties, as James Russell Lowell said. What is the new occasion of this world we're emerging to? What are the new duties and opportunities? And so what we're trying to do is kind of do a both and, which is sort of an All Saints thing to do, which is we're going to be having months like this, like we did in October, where we take one thing and we go in depth and they're all linked to each other and we have the questions. And then we're also going to have periods of time where we say, no, we still are going to do these one-offs that are valuable for people and that people like. And so for the rest of this month, next Sunday is All Saints Sunday, and so come and we'll get our All Saints on and it'll be great. The Sunday after that, the 14th, Juliana Serrano is going to be back with us. We didn't get a chance to celebrate Juliana and the amazing work she did here for 10 years. And so we're going to bring her back, and we're going to have a celebration of her ministry. And she is still the representative of All Saints Church on the Civilian Oversight Board for the police. And they've now had meetings, and she's actually the vice chair of that board. And so she's going to report back to us what's happening there, and also talk a little about her new job at Planned Parenthood. The next Sunday, your vestry and program staff have just started some really phenomenal anti-racism, dismantling white supremacy training with CCEJ, the California Congress on Equality and Justice. The lead trainer who's working with us, Daniel Solis, he's going to be with us on the 21st, along with the wardens and a couple members of the Racial Justice Advisory Board, to really talk about this work, put it in context of the larger journey of All Saints Church, and really kind of say, okay, well, what can the rest of the congregation do while the leadership is doing this? And then on the 28th, and I'm going to wrap this up because Keith's got to get back to church and, for 11:30. Thank you, Keith. On the 28th, we're going to have a really great group of artists here. And so far, we know we're going to have Vijay Gupta and Rena Esmail and Andre Henry, who's a musician, and Amy Brenneman, who's an actor, and we're trying to get a couple others. And we're really going to look at artists and art and the pandemic. And first of all, what was that experience like as an artist? And speak personally about that. I know Amy was part, and Steve, you were part of this too, about a creative group that came up of artists who suddenly found themselves not as busy as they were before. But then also talk about, as we emerge from the pandemic, what is the role of art and music and all these things and drama in helping us process and reflect on what we have been through, and also helping us emerge in a healing way from that. So we're going to have a conversation about artists, art, and the pandemic on the 28th. And then we're just going to keep coming back and saying, tell us what you think. Tell us what you think, and we're going to be trying new things. Grateful for the members of the Rector's Forum Revisioning team, which is Bill Deverell, Brunel Anderson, Monique Thomas, Thomas Diaz, and Gillian, who, gosh, she's in Philadelphia, and she's representing our online people, and I can never remember her last name, and I'm really, really sorry, Gillian. And if that's something that you feel like you'd like to be a part of, let me know. So we're working on that. Anyway, thank you all here for being here. Thank you online. Next Sunday, no forum, it's All Saints Day, and then we'll see you back here on the 14th with Juliana Serrano. Thanks, everybody. Exactly 11:15, Keith.